If we got ahead of ourselves a little bit, how long do you think it's going to take before we see a title fight on European soil?
Yeah. Well, obviously now that we've added a couple of weight classes in the UFC, it's going to help, and I look forward to the day, which I think will be soon, when we add even a lighter weight class than that.
Thinking about 125?
Yep. And not only that, but bringing on more fighters as we continue to do more fights and go to more countries and grow the company. We're going to have to put on more fights, and adding the weight classes will help with title fights too. Plus, these lighter weight classes, there's so many people that haven't seen these guys fight and will be blown away when they do see them. I mean, these guys go at it.
So we can probably schedule it for late 2011, just to put you on the spot just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I can say yes to that.
Roy Nelson had a fight on January 1st, and he was taken off the card. And he wasn't given a fight. A lot of people were talking about Brock.
Yeah, Roy Nelson has some issues. That's why. Roy Nelson was with a company. That's the thing. These guys that go out and sign with these rinky-dink little promotion companies and sign these bad contracts, and let's just say Roy Nelson is involved in a bad contract right now that he had before, and you got these guys, and there's a couple of different organizations out there that do it. It's funny, some of these jackass mixed martial arts websites write these stories about our contracts. They're trying to lock up these guys for their rights and stuff. When we lock up these rights, like the promotional deal, the ancillary rights deal that we did with the fighters, they get paid off that shit, okay? Whether they're with the company or not, they get paid a royalty forever as long as their stuff sells. There's organizations right now that are locking these guys up to the old school boxing contracts, okay? The contracts that King and those guys were doing back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where they have options on top of their options, so your contract never ends with these guys. These are the kind of contracts that some of these guys are signing out there in these other organizations, and some of these MMA websites go, oh, stick up for these guys, they're the small guys. The small guys are the guys that are really fucking the fighters.
You get the question a lot, so I got to ask you again. Where are you right now? Are there any negotiations with Fedor Emelianenko's management? I know it's getting bored to death talking about it. Could you give us an insight in that?
Yeah, no. Here's the thing too. He first of all, he just lost. This guy didn't want to sign deals when he won. I mean, here's the crazy thing about everybody asking me about Fedor. Do you see this guy like, do you see him and his people out there trying to make big fights? Like he's out there trying to fight the best fighters in the world? He's a fucking farce, man. Everybody keeps clinging on to this guy that doesn't want to fight anybody. Do you see them out there making any big moves to try to fight any of the big fighters out there, any of the top heavyweight fighters? No. It's a joke. Those guys are a joke. I met with them face to face. I flew to some fucked up island out in the middle of nowhere to try to do a deal with these guys. And they didn't want to do a deal. This guy doesn't want to fight. He doesn't want to fight any of the top fighters in the world. He doesn't want to. And his management wants to go out there and try to negotiate some deal where they own a bunch of shit for nothing.
Is there any sense of urgency getting Alistair Overeem in the organization right now when he's as smoking hot as he is?
I mean, listen, I like Alistair Overeem. I see him all the time. He's a cool guy. There's no urgency on my part to get him into the UFC. I think anybody that isn't in the UFC gets overhyped by the media all the time. If Alistair becomes available and we start talking to him and wants to fight or whatever, when's the last time? First of all, Alistair's under contract with another company. When's the last time you saw him fight there in the United States? You know what I mean? He's under contract as their heavyweight champion, and he's not fighting. I mean, yeah, you know what I mean?
No sense of urgency right now.
None. I actually find it hilarious that he's ranked in the top 10 by some of the websites. I find it hilarious. Yeah. What has he done in MMA to be ranked in the top 10?
Well, the fact of the matter.
We got a lot of media guys here. What has
I'm not going to.
Overeem done to be ranked in the top 10 in mixed martial arts heavyweight division?
Well, the fact of the matter is that he's such a crossover fighter. The fact that he's still ranked so high as a K1 fighter and that he can parlay that into mixed martial arts, I think that's why a lot of people think think he's interesting.
Figure because he's such a good K1 fighter, he can parlay that into being a mixed martial arts fighter. That's what makes the mixed martial arts media fucking stupid. That they would even rank this guy in the top 10 in the heavyweight division because he's fighting in K1. That makes absolutely no fucking sense, and I would love to hear somebody make sense of this guy being ranked in the top 10. Nice guy. I like him, you know, but it's just...
You base that on the fact that he hasn't actually fought anybody worth mentioning?
Yeah, that would help. Yeah, that would help. How about guys that fight the top guys in the top 10 3 times a year? You know what I mean? Those are in mixed martial arts. Those are the guys that are ranked in the top 10. How about the fact that he's fighting in K1 where you just kick and punch and there's no wrestling, there's no this, there's no that? I mean, how does any credible fucking MMA guy put him in the top 10 in the heavyweight division? It's hilarious.
But it kind of sounds like, it sounds like by the way you talk about him, you kind of want him over in the UFC in order to prove him.
No. You know what this is? It's another Fedor thing. UFC doesn't have him, so we're going to rank him in the top 10, even though the guy's only fighting in fucking K1. He hasn't defended his MMA title in how long? It's insane. It's not that I'm talking like, listen, I just saw Alistar in Ireland when we put the fight on over there. Sitting in the front row, talked to him, and he was there with Semi Schilt. Fucking great guy. I like him. I have nothing but respect for him. He's a good guy. It's an absolute fucking joke that anybody would rank him in the top 10. And anybody who wants to debate with me and tell me why Alistar Overeem should be ranked in the top 10 in the mixed martial arts heavyweight division, fucking fire away. I'm ready. I want to hear it. Can't wait. And if on your rankings you have him in the top 10, you ought to be fucking embarrassed. You ought to be embarrassed, okay?
We don't do rankings, though,
I'm
so
not
you
talking
don't...
to you. I'm talking to you. Anybody out there who's watching, and you have a goofy MMA website that ranks these guys in the fucking top 10 that haven't fought anybody in the fucking top 10, or if they did, they fought somebody that didn't belong in the top 10, and they haven't even fought in mixed martial arts in how long? It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
It's like the Eddie Alvarez syndrome. Remember last time I was talking
Absolutely. Eddie Alvarez is a great fighter. I mean, this kid looks good. He looks promising. He looks like somebody who could do something. He just beat a kid who lost, what, 4 fights in a row? You know, and he did it. He looked good doing it. He busted Roger Huerta up. Roger Huerta's been on a fucking skid. The last fight he won was a street fight down in fucking Texas. You know what I mean? And they're like, holy shit, this guy might be the best 155-pounder ever. Because he beat up some fucking fat dude in Texas on the street. He's lost 4 of his last 5 mixed martial arts fights. You know what I mean? You guys wonder why I have no fucking hair. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Makes no sense. You done with me? Love you guys. Have a good night.
Dana.
Have a good night.